purposes, and you're here to tell us more about the budget.
Yes, this is our semi-annual presentation. A little later, we did add a few extra slides for Commissioner DeFilippo, kind of the new overview, of a few of the financial aspects of the county. But for this presentation, we give an update on the current year status, year-end projections, four-year forecasting, and the data is presented from the focal point of the general fund. The fund balance that is in the presentation is the general fund, unassigned fund balance, plus the assigned for budgetary requirements. This is the beginning of kind of the quick overview of some of the financial aspects of the county. Our fiscal budget process began in February, and they're due to be adopted on June 6th. Calendar budget process begins in July, and they're adopted in December. Preliminary budgets are presented to the commissioners and placed on review for a period of 20 days before adoption. During our refinancing, S&P reevaluated the county's bond rating and they rated us AAA again. They consider the county's management practices to have very strong budgetary flexibility and liquidity and strong budgetary performance. One of the things that they did look at was the site budget impacts, and the way that we managed our way through that actually helped us keep our AAA rating. So that was kudos, pat on the back to the county for being able to weather that storm.
I said get prepared for the next one.
And get prepared for the next one. We do some benchmarking, and one of the overviews of that is we have the median cost, below median cost of government while achieving above median results. We have the lowest property tax rate, general fund expense, and outstanding debt per capita of all of our third-class benchmark counties. Currently, our outstanding...
I'm sorry, can I just, I think that last is, we always know, we've spoken about the fact that our property taxes are the lowest, but the fact that we're actually achieving above median results would indicate, in case there was any doubt, that we were doing quite a bit. It wasn't simply a question of us doing less in order to save taxpayers' money. It's getting the results from the ones that we do correct.
Correct. This is an overview of our current outstanding debt as of the refinancing date. The middle column lists the use of the original proceeds. Currently, we have $43 million in outstanding debt, of which 33 million is the general fund, 6 million is the nursing home, and emergency telephone is 3 million of that. The last principal payment is slated for May of 2031.
Any chance of getting a better interest rate to refinancing? You know, the farmland preservation amount is small, but the interest rate is
abysmal. There is no call date on that. It is for the length of and Mrs. Hornbaker has passed away, and when she did, I asked the attorney if they would be willing to refinance, and she audibly laughed at me.
The attorney?
Yeah. It's an interest rate and no call date. There's no, they're not interested in getting out of that. So I tried, and we could try again.
Once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah, on Christmas Eve.
Okay. Let's see if they're feeling generous.
That's the Hornbaker IPA, which is
Yes.
not to be confused with the beers.
For the Moose Island.
That's one of the, excuse me, preserve farm owners that agreed to receive installment payments, right?
Yes, it's the only one that we have here, that we do.
And what was the original amount, 750,000?
It is $715,000. We have no principal payments until the final principal payment. We pay about $43,000 a year in interest.
That was the big
Dana, for all of the debt that was floated for the prison renovation project, did we utilize all of that amount for the prison expansion? Is that, in other words, is that the total cost of the prison project?
No, that is the last bond that we did for the prison project. The 2016 bond
Yeah.
had the 2008 bond in it. That was the public safety building and the prison building. And I believe the 2006 bond, which was refinanced in there somewhere. It's not the 2010 bond, was the design phase of the prison.
And so what, all right, maybe I'm not understanding. It says use of proceeds 14.6 was prison renovations.
That was 100% for the prison, but there's two other bonds that also help pay for the prison renovations.
Oh, so what was the total cost of the prison
I'll
project?
have to look that up and that off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it was like 40, all right. Maybe I was just looking at that number. I was trying to remember what the number was. I knew it at one point what the cost of prison was,
I did
but
too.
it's bigger than that, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Cumberland County has approximately 36 funds with $233 million of budgeted expenditures. Those funds are split between both calendar and fiscal years. The calendar budgets are about 23 funds with $148 million in expense budget, and fiscals are 13 funds with about $85 million in budget. The general fund budget is a calendar budget, and it's about $75 million and has 40 departments. And normally, when we finance those presentations, we normally do it from the focal point of the general fund, and then how the other funds flow through it is in the form of subsidy, if there is subsidy. This is the December 31st fund balance in the general fund. And we have multiple layers of the fund balance. The first is the non-spendable fund balance, and currently that's just prepaid items. There's restricted fund balance, and that is restricted via an outside source via contract or legislation. The general fund currently doesn't have any committed fund balance, but that's another category that we could have, and that is through formal authorization from the Board of Commissioners. Assigned fund balance is assigned either through internal policies or through the chief clerk and the finance director, and then unassigned fund balance is everything else. For budgetary purposes, we call unassigned fund balance the combination of unassigned fund balance plus the future budgetary requirements. And that's on March 2nd, when we did the presentation of where the year-end fund balance was, it was $26.5 million. It is now $26.7 million. $26.7 million. And the reason for that is we had our collections in the last 60 days for real estate tax. In the last couple of days, we collected a substantial amount. We adjusted for $129,789. Yeah, it's good news. The next section is also an update from the February presentation of the ending fund balance, and it was on March 2nd. So it was the March presentation.
Dana, excuse me just for a minute.
Sure.
You mentioned you adjusted based on, real estate collections, right? When was the deadline for the county property tax bills? Do you know what the deadline
They
was?
get turned over to tax claims, I believe, on December 31st. But for financial.
The bills went out March 1st. I'm just wondering,
Correct.
when is the deadline for the collection? Do we know what percentage of the taxes that we've received, I guess?
Yes, we do. We track that annually. The numbers that you're seeing here are I'm going to say the gross collections. It's a combination of current levy plus prior year levy.
Okay,
And so that's why it doesn't tie in 100%, but,
okay.
okay? So what we have to do, the reason that $129,000 hit is, we also have to look into our financial statements,
Mhm.
the first 60 days of collections in the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they change dramatically from year to year. We do some estimates based on averages, but sometimes it can be a lot higher and a lot lower. So we check that balance in the first couple of days of March to see where it stands. And this year we had lower collections, so we had to increase that accrual. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess what I'm trying to understand is if you say you adjusted the fund balance to indicate that, you know, we received some additional real estate tax revenue. So is that based on a projection that our real estate revenues are coming in a little bit better than previously? And then the other part of this question is, you know, because I know in most cases, you know, we get somewhere in the, like 99% of, on an annual basis of what we're owed.
Right. This is 100% based on collections. So we do an estimate at the end of December for the next 60 days. But we have to check because that collections change dramatically. It could change $500,000 some years.
Are we running a big receivables?
It hasn't changed much.
What do we run?
Our collections is about 99%.
Well, I know when we pass the budget, every year when we pass the budget, you know, you provide an estimate of where we are with real estate and in terms of like what kind of growth you expect to see.
Yes.
So does this mean that your projections for real estate revenues are higher than what they were when we passed the budget, or what?
I have to go back. I did not bring that number, but I think we were within $300,000 or $400,000 of the original budget.
And that is percentage-wise?
Less than 1%.
It's not a big amount if there's a difference, but it's
Correct.
going in the right direction.
It is going in the right direction.
Better to have more.
Yes, and we do watch it monthly, and I believe we send quarterly updates to the commissioners with what we've collected so far year to date. And it varies from year to year on what percentage.
I'm just curious as to whether we're seeing a trend, that's all.
Yes, but overall, we collect about 98 to 99% of the levy.
Right. Okay, thanks, I'm sorry.
You're on, no problem. In 2015, we ended the year at $26.7 million, which is 128 days of budgeted general fund operating expense. And the fund balance policy recommends a minimum of 100 days. Overall, our expenses increased $1 million, which is 1.6%. Of that, salary and benefits increased $470,000. Operating expense stayed about the same. Subsidies increased $658,000. The majority of that's related to children and youth. And capital increased $395,000, and that was related to the courtroom sound video systems and GIS spectrometry. And transfers and debt decreased $433,000. And that is because we paid the May 2011 GO debt service out of the remaining proceeds for the prison because we did not spend all the proceeds. You'll see the reverse happen in 16, that payment will go back up. Overall revenue increased 2.1%. The tax revenue increased $954,000, which is 1.9%, and other revenue increased $557,000, or 2.7%, the majority of which is related to departmental fees and commissions, and the proceeds from long-term debt increased because of the hectometry, and it was offset by a decrease in interest revenue for indirect costs of $226,000. And court costs and fees increased $45,000.
Just a quick question. Real estate tax revenue represents rough, what percentage of the revenue?
And in the general fund, it is 72%.
Okay. And other revenues are balanced?
Yes. Okay. This chart is showing the difference between our projections from September of 15 to the current projections. The majority of the change is related to the nursing home IGT, and that's increasing both the revenues and expenses by about $3 million. Salaries are decreasing 616, benefits are increasing 295,000, and subsidies are decreasing 1.8 million, and that's the new uniform funding for 911, and capital is decreasing 543,000 because of the way this moved to 2017.
So does that mean Commissioner Ritzler is going to get exceeds expectations on his performance measure regarding his participation in the 911 plan?
Yes, especially when they make it permanent, if we keep our funding, we want to keep it.
That'll be on his next year's.
Okay.
Dana, what factor did you use for real estate tax increase? Relative to that.
For the projections, we kept it the same as we did in the budget, I believe it was 1%. What we do is we take what the assessment base is plus estimated increases, so we don't do it the same way we do the remainder of the projections. We kind of key it up based on what the actual assessment base is and building permits. And at that point, we don't really put it into a percentage. So I don't know off the top of my head, it's about 1%.
Last year, you went up 2%.
Yeah.
Why are we not using 2%?
You use historical data?
We're using historical data, and at this point, we are not sure that that trend is going to continue into the current year. It's too early in the year to tell that the assessment base is going to increase by that 2%. When we do the next presentation, we'll change it if it's needed.
So you all tend to be as conservative
Correct.
as reasonable.
I have a question about that when we get into the future.
This is showing the unassigned fund balance since 2013. And in 2013, it was about 21 million, and we're projecting the end of 16 to be at 28 million.
Now, here's my question. When I looked at a similar report, it's maybe back in 2012, 2013, it had this fund balance going way down.
Correct.
And what changed?
Lots of things changed. There were a lot of the,
Not that I'm upset. I'm very happy.
well, and that's the whole reason that we do the projections early, so that we can change how, well, we can put it before the commissioners, the changes can be made early and in a manner that we don't end up in a negative position.
So in 2012, you used data which basically said, based on continuing things as business as was done, this is the way we look. But a bunch of things happened. The FM came in, we made significant changes in how management was done, big steps towards controlling managing overtime, moderated the increase in staff. But also, on the revenue side, we came out of the recession, we started seeing better results on the revenue side, et cetera, et cetera.
There were two taxes, there were two
And two
millage
taxes.
increases, millage increases.
Yeah, it was a combination, which unfortunately also resulted in the tax increase.
Correct.
But there were also cuts, we made
Right.
cuts in expenditures, made some tough decisions, but in combination with an increase in taxes.
Yes.
And our last the last millage increase was in 2013.
2013.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, we've held the line on taxes now for 2 straight years. And hopefully we're going to hold the line on taxes in the next year too.
Or if you bring back that money from the 911
I'm going to keep putting the pressure on it.
That's all I do.
B, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
This chart is showing the growth in taxable assessed value since 1996. The missing years are the reassessment years because the assessed base changes, so it's not comparable data. And what we did was we took what Kirk showed you a few weeks ago on the commercial residential growth trends. We added the permits together, both commercial and residential, and added them to the chart to show that the trend line somewhat works in the same manner. What's not showing here is, commercial and multi-unit permits may count for more than the residential units. This is just kind of a quick graph, but it still shows kind of the same thing. So if we honed into some of the data, probably some of the differences, the difference between commercial growth, multi-unit versus a one-for-one permit on residential. But overall, that's kind of what we look at for the assessed base when we're doing our estimates for tax revenue for the budget, is how much is growth, are the building permits going to affect the base for the next year. So one thing, this is kind of, this is kind of showing where we ended 2015 and where we're projecting to end 2016. So it's showing some of the changes between the 2 years. We're projecting that salaries will increase about $1 million or 3.9% in the general fund. And that's due to the second half of the year for the Gallagher impacts and the merit-based pay and COLA. Benefits are projected to increase about 8.9% or $934,000. The majority of that is related to medical, $600,000, retirement, $245,000, and workers' comp of $125,000. We are self-insured for workers' comp. The $120,000, what we try to do is kind of keep our expenses relatively flat for workers' comp. So we're not really paying a whole lot in. Some years we pay nothing in, but we try to keep it steady so we don't have a big increase when we're to get our balance up in a bad year. So that's kind of operating expense. Of course, one of the increases is the $3 million for the nursing home IGT payment. One of the big changes is subsidy is decreasing $1.7 million due to the new uniform funding. Yay, Jim. Capital is decreasing $137,000, and the transfers of debt are increasing to $545,000 due to the debt service payment that we discussed earlier. The real estate tax revenue, we're projecting to increase $457,000 or 0.9%. And other revenue is increasing $1.8 million or 8.5%. The majority of that is related to the nursing home IGT again, and it's offset by some one-time monies, the Shippensburg Library Keystone grants decreasing, and the proceeds from long-term debt related to pictometry.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to bring this up every time. We were passed through on the Keystone Grant?
We are passed through. I think he's supposed to have revenue and expense. Vince, did you want to talk about the 0.9 now?
Yeah, I just think that's a low number for an estimate.
It is, and we will be updating it if we find that that's not holding higher for the next presentation. It was, I'm looking, I think our overall growth was 1.5 and the 0.9, but if our collections were higher because of that year end, we had that 129,000 increase over the year end. Our collections could have been front ended a little bit, so we have to keep our eye on that.
I know that it can be a tiny thing, but the county is the fastest growing county in the state. We have many townships that are constantly underestimating their property tax revenue. And to be conservative is certainly something we have to follow, but I think if you go a little too conservative, it can
talking about that today, and in fact, there is such a thing as too much in the reserves. It can actually work for a detriment. So in general, it's good to be conservative, but it's better to be accurate and recognize that our goal is not to build up an infinitely large reserve. It's to operate as efficiently as possible.
Right. And even if we lose that number of 1.5%, which would equal the growth of the previous year, that's
It's not,
$250,000.
I know it's not a big impact, but it's $250,000.
And other revenues could come down. We have to look at all of them as a whole, so. We do continue to do that throughout the year.
Oh, I know.
It's just a little early right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This slide is showing the allocation of the expenses from 2005, 2010, and 2015. And basically it just shows the categories and the percentages. The major change that's occurred since 2005 is revenue and transfers and debt from 3.2% to 7.1%. Everything else is kind of stayed
Almost
relative.
identical.
I'm sorry.
It's almost identical.
Yes.
10 years. Benefits are relatively stable. Salaries are stable. Operating costs are actually lower.
It's interesting that salary is just, it's creeped up, it's creeped down a little bit. Benefits have creeped up. It's kind of like they kind of neutralize each other.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think the point being that any downward trend, any moderation of increase in benefit costs is, given the cost of healthcare and everything else, is a significant achievement. And I think, if we had taken measures we had taken in the last 3 or 4 years on benefits, that I think you would see that as a bigger chunk of the pie.
It's funny, I think 25, 30 years ago, when I worked, when I still, Highmark, Pennsylvania Blue Shield, God, I didn't pay for health insurance. And I'm paid, and most I paid out of pocket one year was $2.
Wow.
Those days are long gone.
Long.
The key is not to get sick.
Exactly, that's what I tell people.
Don't get sick and you're right.
The next charts are showing the general fund's revenue in comparison to the total revenue of the county. In the general fund, about 72% of the revenues come from real estate tax, followed up by departmental charges of 12%. For the county as a whole, the majority of the revenues are coming from federal and state grants of 38%, real estate tax 23%, and departmental charges of 21%. Now I'm going to turn it over to Tammy.
We combine federal and state grants into one big,
Yes.
38%. Do we know how much of that is federal?
We can get it, but we do combine it because most of our grants are passed through from the state, and they usually don't tell us until the year is over on how much the split is.
Yeah. My guess is that a lot of it is federal.
A large part of it is federal. But that is why, because they allocate the dollars and the percentages change.
Dana, would you happen to know on the general fund revenue, other class 3 counties, is there high, similar to what we're looking
No, I don't know, but we can
at?
look
That's
at it.
okay, that's okay.
We may,
In terms of revenue or in terms of expenses? Both?
I'm sorry, in revenue, total general fund revenue.
and some of that could end up, what we find is everybody's handles their financials very differently. So some people may have more grants, some of the human service grants in the general fund than we do, and other things. So we can certainly go look, when we look at both general fund and total county as a whole, to see if they're comparable. First thing, I want to start out with some major adjustments since our last projections that we've done. One of the biggest changes is the 911 uniform funding. Our current assumption in the projections is that 911 will remain fully funded through the projection period here. Radio projects are not in these projections, but we do, in one of the later slides, show the potential impact of the radio project.
And that just goes back to that presentation that was made a little while ago. And that we looked at spreading that out for about 2023.
Yeah.
In 911, there would be no subsidy requirement for eligible expenses. Now, if there's no increase in future base 911 uniform funding, we could potentially be subsidizing 911 in the future. And also, depending on how the formula is approved, if that changes, it could shift our projections also. There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, we just had another meeting on that today, and there may be a little bit of a change, but it's going to still be a lot more than what we were getting. And, you know, so we'll see. We're still working on that.
Over the next 5 years, there's a reduction of debt payments of $6.3 million. And our current projections do not include any estimates for any additional projects. And they also assume the continued aggressive management of the cost drivers in the county. This slide here is showing our general fund projections for 2016 for 2020. 16 projected at $28 million, 2020 at $21.2 million. Some of the major projects we have is in 2019 is the election machine for $4 million. And each year there's some IMTO projects projected out. And the assumptions is made that 911 eligible capital projects will be funded by the 911 uniform revenue in these projections.
What's the $1.5 million for IMTO?
Lloyd was moved to 17. There's part of Cronus in 17. I'm stumped on the rest. We can get the list.
I'm sorry, that was Kronos and
Lloyd is in there. Lloyd, the voice over IP, the telephone system. I have a list of the projects.
you said that.
We may want at some point, take a look at our IMTO budgets over the years and take a look at what projects we've done in the past and what projects are in the pipeline so that we can hopefully manage these ever increasing costs. Because make prioritize as to what we really need and what we don't need. I'm all for technology, but this is just, can really get out of control.
Some of the assumptions in the projections. Projections are based on our current trends and cost drivers. Salaries are projected out at an average of 2.4% yearly increase, which has in there the union contracts, fee per P, overtime. Overtime is going to increase even if our hours remain the same because base salaries are increasing. Benefits is 7.6%, operating 1.3%, subsidy 1.3% average yearly increase, and capital we have projected out at the same level each year.
And again, those are all based on
Historical trends. This slide is the radio project. I said we were going to do two scenarios on the radio project, just to give you an idea of what kind of impact it could have on our projections. The top scenario does $1 million in
18, 19, and 20. And then you can see by 2020, we're at 18.2 million in projections. The second scenario, we started out in 2017 with $500,000, $18 million, and $2 million in both 19 and 20. You can see that in 2020, we're at $15.7 million in fund balance. It could be many different scenarios. These were two that we picked, but one thing to remember is once you're putting in $1 million fund balance, can change very quickly.
What time period was there to be, I think, 1 or 2 tower replacements?
17. 17 was the first one.
We are $500,000 each.
Something like that.
I think the 1 million budget is next year, but I don't know if it's 1 tower or 2.
17 was when that was supposed to start.
And the radio project was estimated at what, between 16 and 20 million? Right here.
Yes.
16, 20, something like that.
And with these different scenarios, it's not necessarily the radio project. It could be that we have to start subsidizing them again because of the change in the formula, or because of, different reasons, but it just shows how quickly it changes if your different scenarios change.
Yeah, I'm just wondering too, because one of the missions of the new 911 law is to encourage efficiencies and, in some cases consider consolidation. And in addition to that, they're talking about interconnectivity to make sure that we're all, every public safety answering point is connected to another public safety answering point. And so you have a statewide network. And I don't know whether some of what it is that's in the planning stage, could impact what it is we're talking about doing here. So this is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. But so when we presented a lot of stuff on the radio project, there were a lot of different ways we've done in terms of what vehicles we use, the timing, the distribution of the total cost over what years, front loaded, back loaded, spread it even. And I think we should pay close attention to that because there's probably a way to do this that would be more cost effective than not.
David, didn't you mention something about, I could be wrong, with some debt service being retired around that 2019, 2020 timeframe?
Yes.
We could then use such a vehicle for some of the not subsidies, but payment for the radio project.
Correct. If you go to page 25,
Yeah.
the debt service change is the increase or decrease overall in that year. And the refinancing effect 16 and 17, and then 19 is the payoff of a debt, and then 20 we have another payoff. So we have a substantial, it totals $6.3 million
Right.
less in payments over the years, but that's the years that the debt service decreases. And then it's ongoing.
Yeah, but that would open us up for an option to pay part
Yes. And
radio
then,
and still be well within the requirements of a AAA bond rating.
yes, yes.
So.
And that's kind of what page 28 is showing, and this is
Yeah,
how we
right.
flip that back.
All right, sorry.
If we add those payments back in, so you were absolutely on the right track.
Timing is really important in all this. It's a sequence of things. If you clear your document, which is in a credit card balance, we promise for.
Yes.
But it much more preferential interest rates than we pay on credit card.
And we really wanted to show that we pulled those debt service out, so if you add that back in, it does impact the fund balance.
But this is an important page, not that they're not all important, but page 25 is big.
25, and I would also say page 27. Because that's the assumptions in for the expenses.
red bars are the revenues, the blue are the expenses. The green line on the chart is showing you the current projections. The yellow and black are the previous projections we did, and you can see with the green line, the major changes in the slope of that line has been the 911 uniform funding and our debt service payments.
And again, if things continue to go favorably, the slope of that line, the green line, should move up.
The next slide is showing our tree projections. The tree projections I changed up a little bit this year. First line is showing what the current assumption is of $28 million and $21.2 million out in 2020. The second section is showing changes this year. It could be a lowering of revenue or an increase in expenses, just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of effect that can have on fund balance. The first row is 2% change in 2019, and 2% is about $1 million, so $1 million change. You can see what it does to the fund balance out in 2020. I also did a 1% and 3% in 2018, just to give you an idea of what it does to fund balance. 1% is $500,000 approximately. 3% is $1.5 million. You can tell just with a small change what it does to fund balance. And I also did some in 2017 to show the earlier that the change happens, whether it really good or bad, it has a bigger impact in the out years to the projections. So just to kind of give you an idea of what a change will do to the projections. And the comparative tax rate, Cumberland County with the 2014 numbers is still the lowest of the third-class counties with our property tax per capita at $205.
Do you have any questions?
Just to comment, some of those lower counties with the lowest per capita taxes are also high in farmland preservation. Which is nice to see.
The previous was a big food.
Not all of it, most of them.
No, sure. Where's the, oh, yeah, Lancaster.
Another thing that I don't know whether you included in your projections previously, but the other thing that's helped our entire fiscal picture with respect to the general fund is the $5 fee that we were able to assess to reduce the burden on property taxpayers for all of the bridge work that we have undertaken. And so, we're in the middle of a major capital improvement project. I don't know that our financial picture would look as good relative to property tax, had we not taken that action.
If that was been funded from the general fund, that would have impacted.
Oh, I see.
Reduced is the registration fee revenue shown in what you have here?
It does not, because there's no impact in the general. It is fully funded at this point.
But our only alternative had it not been for that would have been the general fund.
Or borrowing, well, either way, it was
Yeah.
a negative impact. So in sum, our reserves increased to 15, and we're projected to increase again in 16, assuming Commissioner Paul support is, personally, is successful, continues to be successful in the 911.
I'll repeat again, the 911 advisory board is exactly that, an advisory board. We don't make the final decisions, but But we're working towards securing a good deal and hopefully a fair deal for all the counties in Pennsylvania. And our legislature does deserve credit for stepping up the plate and, providing for an inflationary adjustment so that we can help support our 911 dispatch system without reaching into the pockets of our property taxpayers for more.
Well, that's good, so they want to go in an inflationary measure. That's good.
Also, to be clear, we're engaged in this class action suit regarding underpayment from previous years by the telco. Potential revenue from that, is that included in here?
It is not included in here, and my opinion is we've already met the restriction of that funding, so it could be used for any projects the commissioners would so choose. But I would highly recommend that we put it towards the radio or something
Well,
like that.
and I think that goes along with what we were talking about in the radio presentation. We can skillfully manipulate this to the timing of the sequence, mix the funding for it between borrowing and general fund, but, we should be squirreling away money for that rainy day that we know is going to come.
Yeah, I mean, if we would be somehow managed to be successful in that, that's that money should be reserved for, like these 911 projects, there's no question about that.
Just like the IGT should be reserved for national and stuff.
Paying the election machines,
Yes.
they're estimated at $4 million. I don't know if you know the answer, probably Penny would, but you know what the life expectancy would be for those?
The current
That's good.
machines.
The current machines?
Or the new ones?
I
That's
don't know.
okay.
It
I can
depends
call
on,
Penny.
yeah.
But is there any possible grant money out there for that?
At this point, no. We're hopeful that the state will be generous and pitch in again. But we can't plan
Keep
for
our
that.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But we can't plan for that at this point.
No,
We haven't
we
done
need a
that.
plan for the full form of it,
Yes.
understood. Just such a big chunk.
Yes.
One, one's not for 1 year.
And it's all at once because it'll be a change to the actual book.
Right, because you can't do it piecemeal, you kind of have to do them all at
Yes.
once, because they have to talk to each other.
At first, we had planned on doing a little bit in each year, but they're actually, I don't know what the real thing is, they're going to be starting it where they're going to a whole new program, so.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to keep in mind is that, we need to keep an eye on, what other counties are doing, because I would hate to see us blaze a trail here, and we go out and we purchase brand new machines, and all of a sudden, 10 or 15 other counties the following year get assistance from the state just because, a bunch of counties decided to do it. So, I think, the last time around, I think there was funding, but, I don't think there, what we're hearing, the state's not thinking about providing any funding for new voting machines in here. But, if there were to be a number of counties that needed to upgrade, then I think, there could be maybe some assistance from the state.
Is the CFAP program?
I don't know where they are on that issue. They have an election reform committee, but I don't know whether or not they're dealing with voting machines per se.
I wonder if there would be a way to increase online voting and decrease the need for actual going to the poll and vote, hence cut down the cost.
They just instituted online registration.
But I think other states have online voting. It's like, oh my God, what a novel concept.
Oh,
And go to maybe have the elections on Saturdays.
we're talking about doing increased participation, which is not what everybody wants to do. But
mean, the easiest solution to a lot of this would be to permit, voting by mail. We have absentee ballots right now that, but we should have no excuse absentee balloting in Pennsylvania. That way, you don't necessarily have to go out and vote on the day of the election. You can vote ahead of time. And, a lot of other states have that. And that would take care of some of the issues that we have with respect to trying to find suitable polling locations as well.
It's getting harder and harder to do.
Yeah.
Very good. This is really good information.
You should have been here when we saw the red.
Yeah.
I think I was sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
Asking for more money for farmland preservation.
This was,
Getting all kind of evil looks.
Vince was in the audience going, I should run for office.
anyway, no, I'm very pleasantly not surprised. I shouldn't say surprised. I just appreciate the report that you presented here today.
Jim, I think you and Gary and some others before deserve credit.
Oh, Jim's just a new guy, so he can't take any credit.
Never, I mean, there were some tough decisions made.
Just try
Some of them were
to
tough.
just try to do the right thing.
But, I like this chart on page, that's the last page. Comparative tax rate. Cumberland County, lowest taxes per capita.
And that's been the case in all the short period of time that I've been here.
Me too.
Okay.
Right.
Is there any other business? Thank you.